The thing with the X-Men is that they have somehow always managed to find their way around death, and now every mutant can overcome death, all thanks to Krakoa's resurrection protocols. So just to be clear, when we say overcoming death, we're pretty much talking about resurrection of deceased mutants. You can call it a marvel of mutant power and technology, but there's simply no denying that Krakoa's resurrection process has brought long-dead X-Men back to life, enabled heroes to respawn during battles, and also helped revive the wiped-out mutant population. In case you're not aware, the resurrection protocols are entirely dependent on the combined, synchronized powers of a group of 5 specific mutants, aptly known as the Five, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at how these 5 mutants end up resurrecting the dead mutants back to life. Are you ready? Let's dive right into the video then. But before we get into our explanation, we do have one very tiny request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. How did the Five come into existence? The Five were first thought of way before any of their members were born. It was during the early days of Moira McTaggart and Charles Xavier's relationship that the latter began thinking that a group of mutants working together might be able to bring the dead back to life. Since the duo didn't have a mutant with the ability to bend reality, Moira started looking for possible matches for both of them that would, in turn, produce a mutant with those abilities. This is what eventually led to Legion and Proteus being born, and later Proteus became one of the Five. To set the stage for the eventual realization of this process, Xavier contacted Mr. Sinister and asked him to compile a database containing the genetic material of every known mutant. He also asked Forge to construct a cerebro storage unit that would contain backups of each known mutant's consciousness that he himself could telepathically create and store. Xavier and Moira's long-standing scheme was finally carried out in the early days of the mutant nation of Krakoa, and the Five were handpicked by Moira and Xavier and tasked with reviving the mutants who had met their untimely ends. It's safe to say that the Five, pooling their powers together, made the Krakoan resurrection process possible. How does the resurrection process work? While we'll be taking a look at each of the members of the Five a little later in the video, let's see how the entire process of mutant resurrection actually works. Initially, it is Egg who generates a number of non-viable biological eggs, which is equivalent to the number of mutants that the Five need to resurrect. The eggs are subsequently infused with mutant DNA from Mr. Sinister's gene catalog, only to be made viable thanks to Proteus' reality-altering abilities. Next, the eggs are biologically given life by Elixir, who uses his power to fertilize the eggs and grow a husk body, after which Tempest resorts to her time manipulation abilities to rapidly age the mutant husks to their desired ages. Additionally, Hope Summers utilizes her powers that enable the Five to perform at their utmost and in unity. After all of this is done, a telepath, which in the usual case happens to be Xavier, transfers the mutant's consciousness, recorded by Cerebro from a duplicate made at the time of their death, to the husk. This procedure allows the Five to create new clones of deceased mutants, returning their bodies, powers, and minds to their original state. Mind you, Xavier thought it was essential to divide the different parts of the resurrection procedures, which is why the Five did not have access to a Cerebro cradle with backups, or the collection of genetic material. The Five's resurrections became a lot easier as they rehearsed them more. Additionally, the Five seemed to become an intimate family unit and were seldom seen away from each other. Their bond appeared to transcend the combination of their abilities, reaching the mutants themselves. On Krakoa, the Five were regarded as sacrosanct, and it was imperative that they be safeguarded no matter what. Also, because Proteus' powers were directly related to the disintegration of his own body, the Five were always ready with a backup mutant husk ready for him to live in when his old one burned out. A Proteus body typically lasted a week, and at times even a single day during times of heavy power use. X-Factor investigations and the Quiet Council. The creation of X-Factor was authorized due to the difficulties in determining who is deceased, missing, or merely displaced, preventing multiple living forms of the same mutant. In order for the Five to begin the resurrection process, X-Factor investigations would verify the location and condition of any missing and presumed dead mutants. When Rockslide was revived from his death on Otherworld with his mind confused, the resurrection protocols were temporarily suspended. The Quiet Council and X-Factor investigations came to a decision that mutants who died on Otherworld cannot be brought back as themselves, but rather as a combination of all versions of themselves from every possible reality, thereby creating an entirely new individual in the process. It was only after the Omniversal Magistrix Saturnine's Ten of Swords contest concluded that the resurrections were reinstated. Although marginally bound to the regulations of the Quiet Council, the Five started taking matters into their own hands when they discovered Gabby Kinney, or Scout to be more precise, had been killed and that her friends in the Lost Club were attempting to revive her behind their backs. The Five decided to do it themselves, and also wrote a petition to the Quiet Council requesting that the law prohibiting cloning be repealed. Eventually, the Five were authorized to resurrect Madeline Pryor. The Five also offered to assist Magneto in going behind the Quiet Council's back and resurrecting the Scarlet Witch, but she did so herself by resorting to the protocols through her own power. Mystique, impersonating Charles Xavier, similarly deceived the Five into resurrecting Destiny. During Destiny's revival, Mystique taught Hope how to telepathically implant a mutant's backups into their husk and handed her one of the Cerebro Cradles, thereby giving the Five nearly complete control over resurrections. Members of the Five and their roles. Hope Summers. As an Omega-level mutant, Hope's power is to mimic and amplify the abilities of other mutants in her vicinity. In the context of the Five, she's the most crucial member. Her power acts as a conduit, a harmonizer that links the disparate powers of the other 4 mutants. With Hope, the Five become a single, seamless machine, which allows them to work in perfect unison and at their peak potential. It's fitting to state that Hope Summers is the conductor of this biological orchestra, ensuring every step of the process is perfectly executed. Egg. Fabio Medina. Fabio's power, which for years seemed to be a mundane and even comical ability to fire golden spheres from his body, was revealed to be the foundation of the entire resurrection process. It turns out these gold balls are not just projectiles, they are unviable biological eggs. These eggs are the raw material, the base husks from which new mutant bodies will be grown. He can produce them in vast quantities, providing an endless supply for the resurrection protocol. Proteus. Kevin McTaggart. The son of Moira McTaggart, Proteus is an Omega-level reality warper. His power is incredibly destructive, and for much of his life, he was a chaotic and dangerous force. Within the Five, however, his ability is channeled with precision. He uses his reality warping power to turn eggs, unviable biological eggs, into a viable, life-sustaining vessel. He manipulates reality at a fundamental level, transforming the non-living material into a fertile shell ready for the next stage of creation. Elixir. Josh Foley. Another Omega-level mutant, Elixir's power is biokinesis, the ability to manipulate biological matter at the cellular level. He can heal others, heal himself, or, terrifyingly, inflict fatal damage. In the resurrection process, his power is used to jumpstart life itself. After Proteus makes the eggs viable, Elixir injects a preserved DNA sample of the deceased mutant into the egg. He then uses his biokinetic power to initiate and accelerate cellular replication, essentially growing a new body from scratch. Tempest. Eva Bell. Tempest has the power to manipulate time, creating time bubbles that can speed up or slow down events. Her role is to take the newly formed embryo and accelerate its growth. She encloses the developing husk in a time bubble, compressing its growth from what would take years into a matter of hours. This allows the mutant to be resurrected almost instantaneously, emerging from the egg at their peak physical age and vitality. Marvelous verdict. Well, that's all for today. And with this, we finally come to the end of our video here. So who's your favorite in the Five? Of course, you're allowed to have all 5 as your favorites, but we'd certainly like to know which one you fancy the most and why. Don't hesitate to hit us with your thoughts in the comments section. Also, stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.